First of all, hello everyone, and well, thank you very much, Itba, for making this beautiful event to all of us. And we'll be talking about a few ideas with our speakers in about a couple of minutes. But before making our speakers interact with all of you, I would like to start with a brief discussion with a couple of ideas that I wanted to discuss with all of you. So the title of this talk is about the struggle that graduates have whenever they try to apply all their, what I say, book knowledge or university taught knowledge into the real world. And in my opinion, this is, because of many reasons. I mean, what is happening when I graduated from the university, it happened exactly the same. And I want to talk with all of you about maybe 3 reasons why this happens. The first one is, this book knowledge that everyone gets in the university. I mean, book knowledge is the way that we all know about how transmit knowledge from generations to generations. This has been since the inception of writing. And I mean, it's great, it's fantastical. But it has an issue. Book knowledge is, concentrated, it's pure, perfect, it's in the perfect world. But when you try to put book knowledge into the reality, things get messy, things explode. And this can be for several reasons, right? So maybe about idiosyncrasy, maybe lack of resources, many others. So my first question that I would like to leave to all of you is, how can universities right now provide the students with the perfect mix of knowledge and practice to adapt this book knowledge to any kind of situation? The second reason that I want to talk with all of you is maybe risk aversion. Risk aversion from employers. We have with us today 3 great entrepreneurs that maybe we'll discuss about this in a few seconds. But risk aversion is real. Risk aversion from employers is a completely understandable situation. I mean, no one, or at least no one that I know of, will give to a recent graduate any sort of super complex knowledge, a super complex problem, in order to apply their university taught knowledge into that reality. The reasons are obvious. Basically, if the decision is not correct, it might jeopardize the future of the company. Another situation or another ideas is to discuss when it's a correct decision or not. It's another factor maybe for another discussion, but we'll leave it there. And the third reason is the incredibly complex growth of complexity, right? So right now, in this exact moment in the history of humanity, we are living exponential times. So as we are speaking, things are happening faster than ever. Like, no one could ever know that last week a bunch of people in Reddit put together a decision in order to buy stocks completely out of rationality. And well, that happened. I mean, it went completely opposite to the book knowledge, and no one could ever. I mean, not even the fastest and the smartest Wall Street analyst could ever know what was happening, but it happened. So what to sum up and to maybe go a little bit faster, so I can give the opportunity to our speakers today. What I want to say here is that, unfortunately, there is no framework for reality. So what we learn, all the frameworks that we learn in the books, they are a try in order to maybe take away or maybe delete some variables in order to take faster decisions. But that's not reality. Reality is way more complex than that. And if things are not carefully evaluated, and we want to put that exact book knowledge into reality, we can break things. So how do we do things at ITBA? And why are we here with these 3 amazing entrepreneurs that we have today? At ITBA, we take a radical and different approach for teaching our students and making these amazing graduates and entrepreneurs. First of all, I would say that we have maybe a little help from the context. Argentina is an amazing country, beautiful, by the way, but it has, some things about stability and economical change, and that helps a lot. It's absolutely not a coincidence that from Argentina we have tons of unicorns, tech unicorns, and I mean, many of them were founded by IDVA students, and most of them have IDVA graduates also in their C-level positions. But this is a matter. I mean, this is environmental. Argentina is a beautiful country, but the environmental factors make us and prepare us for the worst, and that's great. The second thing is that at IDVA we hire professors which are industry experts and work in their field of expertise. This might be a little bit odd for anyone that comes from universities with, academics and people that do research. But in IDVA, this decision about having professors work in the field of expertise, it's a masterpiece. We have people that from 9 to 6, they do amazing things in their field of expertise, and they come to teach you after their work time about how they rock the world. Third, we foster our students to start working in their during their academic period, and this is amazing because they can have this mixture between practical and book knowledge while they are studying. So in this way, we try to put together a bit more book knowledge and reality. And the fourth and the last thing that we do at IDVA is that I would say that we have maybe one of the greatest student experiences in Argentina. This happens naturally, not only because we foster it from the university, but also our students start groups like, I don't know, hackathons, student groups, many things, and that builds an incredible environment that not only comes from the inside of the university, but also from the outside. We have tons of companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, SAP that come to the university. They even bring professionals from those companies to teach inside the university, and they foster and they do a lot of things with the university in order to bridge the gap again between book knowledge and reality. This makes, in my opinion, IDVA one of the reference institutions in Latin America, and I'm sure that the best private university in Argentina for engineering, technology, and business. So I don't want to continue because I really would like our speakers to talk about this and maybe give you a little more insights about what it is to study at IDVA. So I would like to first introduce Maximo. Maximo Cavazzani is the founder of CEO of Ethermax. At 22 years old, during his studies, he developed iStock Manager, the first mobile stock trade application subsequently acquired by Ameritrade, one of the most important brokers in the States. In 2009, he founded Ethermax and started developing video games. He created, among other games, WordCrack and Trivia Crack, who are two greatest hits that were a record of downloads worldwide. Ethermax exceeded 700 million downloads and are now available in more than 180 countries, up to 34 languages. With the maturation of the company, it has now 390 talents from multiple disciplines distributed among Argentina, Uruguay, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, and is now diversified into new businesses, being a pioneer in offering game advertising services in Latin America and applied artificial intelligence in innovation solutions for companies. Maximo, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Then I'll ask you to turn on your microphone.
Sorry.
Thanks. Then we have with us Carlos Tramutola. Carlos is an industrial engineer graduated with honors at IDVA. He has an MBA from Stanford, and he was the Secretary of Public Space of the city of Buenos Aires. And during that time, he created the Metro bus, which is currently used by 1 million passengers per day. He was the director of social development of the TechInt organization, one of the biggest companies in Argentina, where he created the Roberto Roca Technical Schools, a network of secondary schools models in Mexico and Argentina. In 2017, he started working at the Alibrate project, which has already received $1.5 million of investment, and it is the largest Spanish-speaking literary platform in the world. Carlos, very welcome. Thank you for being part of this.
Hi, nice to be here.
And then, last but not least, we have Borja. Borja is a current student in the Business and Social Analytics degree at ITBA. He's also the co-founder and commercial director of Lemon Cash. Lemon is the first company in the region that processes physical and online payments for credit and debit cards, QRs, as well as cryptocurrencies. They currently serve more than 1,000 companies and businesses and almost 20,000 users. They just closed a seed round of more than $1 million by Draper Cygnus Venture Capital Fund, which is the regional branch of the famous Tim Draper's VC fund. Borja, very welcome. Glad to see you here.
Thank you, Lucho. Hi, everybody. Everybody's awesome.
Well, so guys, again, welcome and thank you for being here and for giving us your time. So this question, anyone can start with this. So when and how did you decide to start your own company? Who wants to start? Maximo?
I can start.
Go ahead.
I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. 12 years ago, in 2008, while studying at ITBA and also doing some stock trading, I created the first iPhone app that allowed you to buy and sell in the US stock exchanges, called iStock Manager, now called TD Ameritrade Mobile. The app collected commissions and started to make a lot of money, so I decided to create a software company, since that was the plan at the start. I offered one of my colleagues at the university, Simon Selva, to join in, and he developed the BlackBerry and Android versions based on the iPhone one in exchange for a part of the profits. Simon was a smart choice, also from ITBA. 1 year later, 6 months before ending classes, we hired our first 2 employees, Mariano Fragulia and Gonzalo Garcia from ITBA too. The 4 of us still work together every day. So we had a running business. Our strategy was to grow a team and to create some new products for the new mobile world that was being created at the time. We tried several things, from a mobile stock trading simulator to a top social charity platform. At the same time, we struggled to sell our own trading platform to other banks and brokers. So I used to say, we'll never make a game here. I was wrong, of course, because 2 years later, in 2011, after analyzing our options over and over, checking what we were good at, what we were bad at, I decided to go and make a game. I prototyped this game because I thought this kind of game that I was making was our best chance for succeeding. A social word game aimed to the new non-English world. A couple of months and some work after, we released Apalabrados, which was the most downloaded app in Spain in 2012. It was installed in one of 2 smartphones. We sold our trading app to Ameritrade, which, by the way, is still being used today by millions of users. Most of them are doing that GameStop thing right now. We have nothing to do with them. We made 2 more games with little success after that, and our 4th game, we decided to make something bigger based on our previous experience. That's when we decided to reinvent the trivia games with a crowdsourcing system called the Question Factory, and a game called Trivia Crack, or Preguntados in Spanish. It became an instant success. Our revenue grew 100x in 1 year. Imagine that. First, we were #1 in Latin America in all the countries, and then by the end of 2014, 66 days #1 in the US, which is still a record. 100 million daily active users at the time. We were 40 when we started Trivia Crack. Now we are 400 in 5 cities, 2 continents, and we are established as one of the leaders in the mobile gaming world.
Well, amazing. You know, it's like the saying says, never say never, right?
Yeah, right.
So, who wants to follow? Maybe Carlos?
Okay. Well, my story is different. I started my business later, but I also always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Just I never done it for some reason. Well, I finished my MBA when Argentina in year 2002, when Argentina was in big trouble, and for some reason I decided it was time to go into government, into politics at that time. So I postponed my entrepreneurship career. And then I worked for a large corporation, and after 7 years working for a large corporation, I decided the cycle was over and it was time to do something. I didn't know exactly what, but I quit my job without knowing exactly what I was going to do. And well, I had to wait for 6 months until they found somebody to take my job. And during those 6 months, one day I had this epiphany, this big idea, nothing to do with nothing of the ideas I had before. I don't know much about technology, but I like reading and writing. I write a lot. I have 3 books that I haven't finished yet. And at some point, I found some mismatch between supply and demand in reading and writing and publishing industry. And I found that, I don't know how, I found that something was going to happen in the publishing industry that has already happened in the music or in videos or in different, we all know Netflix and YouTube and Spotify and how they changed the game. And nothing like that had happened in the reading or writing world. And I started thinking of, I have to do something with this. And I didn't know exactly, but I started this Alibrate project, which is now an application for Spanish-speaking book lovers or Spanish-speaking readers and writers. We are reaching this week 1 million registered users. And Alibrate is growing quite much. I don't know if 100x, but 100%, maybe 200%. Every year, the application is growing. We are adding, we have more ideas than what we can do. Of course, that's a big problem for entrepreneurs, which is the right idea of the 200 ideas you have and how to follow. And now this application is good for readers, for finding the right book, for managing your library, for buying ebooks, for buying paperback books, and for writing phrases of your authors, doing anything you want, finding another readers that like the same books than you or the same authors than you. And even now we started this platform where you can even write and people can read. So reading and writing is changing its way. You can write even only 1 paragraph, and that's all, that what you have to say, and you just put it online. So we don't know how the world and the publishing industry will go on, but we know that it's exploding and something big is happening, and we feel we are in the middle of that growth. So that's how I started.
Amazing story. You know, when I hear you or Maximo talk about those kind of scales, I am a professor at IDVA, especially I am a professor in technology. So when you talk about those kind of scales, you know, 100 million daily active users, we're growing 100, 200%. Like I drive nuts. I mean, it's like, I mean, I want a piece of that cake. Borja, you want to continue?
Yes, sir. So my story is I always liked to work for myself and not for other people. I've never believed in, or sometimes yes, but most of my time I've never believed in working for other people's dreams. Rather follow yours. So I've always had like a small companies. My first company was a marketing company when I was 18 years old. I just started 19 years old. I was just starting a university at ITBA. Then I had, so how did I get to Lemon? I've always had cryptocurrencies since I'm 14 years old, so since 2011. And when I was at my junior year in ITBA, I was studying more tech and so on, and I said, I need to get into crypto. So I tried out working at a blockchain startup. I was there for 6 months. The startup was super cool, but I honestly couldn't bear or stand working for other person. And I didn't even have a stock option plan, so it was just working for the money. So after 6 months, I said, I need to do something. I need to start my own business again. So I started working with some people on the crypto space. We started doing trading, Bitcoin trading, let's say, like supplying to most of the major exchanges in Argentina. And then I met my actual partner, with whom I've always had a problem. I always had, like, let's say, the sales side, but I never had tech support. So I always found issues when I needed to present an application or a product. Let's say I could never have a product. I always had a business which was just chats and conversations, like a money table, let's say. So when I met my current partners and Chelo, that they were building a wallet and so on, it's like they say that partners and co-founders are like it's a marriage. So we instantly fell in love, and we began our marriage. And well, Lemon went from let's say from a super small garage. Yes, in a garage. We started in the living room, in Chelos, my co-founder's living room, until today. That today we have more than 20,000 users, more than 1,000 merchants. We just launched a credit card, a crypto credit card campaign, and in only 1 week we had 30,000 people that applied to receive the credit cards. Well, but my camera went off. Sorry for my internet. But anyways, we are always in the mode and humble. We're still in a garage. This is our new garage. It's a better garage because now we have like a super big house for the entire company. But we're still in garage mode. And just to be synthetic on the answer, I think that why I decided to start the company and how and when. I think that in the exact moment, I thought that, as you said, many times when you get out of uni, companies, well, that's my internet. When I have better internet, my camera will go on again. But essentially, when you get, I've always felt that the traditional path is very slow, and that if you want to get high in a company, you really need to go after, let's say, bureaucratic process where you get promotions based not only on effort but also time, and like time is nothing, it's just a number. What I feel is important is experience. And I say, like, if you want to skyrocket your career, then you just need to build a company. I mean, if you go to a traditional company, you will be there for time, many years, and you have to hack that system or to hack, let's say, that process is make your own company and try to scale it as much as you can. So I think that me to actually make a company. I said, I want to get to the top, and I don't want to spend 25 years. I want to spend like a lot less.
Okay, you were saying that you're in garage mode. It reminds me when I listen to Marcos Galperin. What Marcos Galperin is maybe the most famous entrepreneur that we have in Argentina. That he says that Mercado Libre, which is his creation, well, he and his team is always in beta mode. So it reminds me when you were talking, Borja, you are always in garage mode, I would say.
100%. I think that our office will always be a garage. I'm completely sure. They will be better and bigger, but it will still be a garage. And yeah, it's all about mindset. 80% mindset, 20% strategy. So get mindset on.
Great, thanks. So moving to the next question. Regarding challenges, right? Because everyone has challenges when they try to do something, especially you guys in this context and this amazing world of technology. So do you remember any challenges you had, and basically how did you solve them? How did you solve them? But I mean, with things that you learned at ITBA. Who wants to start? Maybe Carlos. We'll leave Borja to fix his internet. Well, any other answers? Maybe Carlos, Maxi, anyone? Want to go back? Carlos, there. Go ahead.
I have so many challenges. I will choose one or two. Well, in my case, my first challenge was making the decision. When you start being an entrepreneur later, you have some pros and cons. The pros is that you have more experience. The cons is that you have higher salaries, higher exit costs, and higher expenses. And you have children and those. So making the decision was a big challenge. But that was a personal thing. I would say a big challenge is, at least it is for me, it was and it is still a big challenge, making so many decisions per day that have to tend to be correct. You have to try to get 7 or 8 out of 10 correctly. And how does your knowledge or your academic experience help you make those decisions correctly? I'm not sure, but I think that all of those decisions are small projects, are very small projects that have a cost-benefit analysis. And I would say that my career, in my case, engineering, helped me get strong analytical skills and strong abilities to understand the system and to understand costs and benefits and flows. And all of that gets into your mind, and at the end it works either consciously or as an intuition. So it helps you very much to make right decisions, big and small. But the thing is, you have to make many decisions at the beginning. Who's your partner? Who's your first employee? Who's your second employee? Which is the product? Where do you work? Which is the office, the garage? You have many decisions, and you are always doing this kind of analysis. I would say that the strong analytical skills that I got were very helpful for getting here.
Thanks for that. Maxi, you want to continue there?
Yes. Well, I remember a lot. Let me start with the first one. Being able to create something that the world needed without any money or help, so I could start my business. That was the first challenge. For example, I learned to code almost entirely here at the university, or there at the university. Difficult challenges that were presented there inspired me to think how I could use that knowledge and make something for the world. A lot of apps, a lot of things in software, which is my field of knowledge. But let me start with something simpler. Being able to think of a project, making it work, no matter how, and finish it, right? So that's something it sounds like trivial, but it's not. So formal education, I think, helps you to achieve that in multiple ways. my second challenge was to learn how what I was not being taught, right? So I think learning things helps you because of the things you learn, but it also gives you the knowledge that a lot of things are not being taught to you and you need them, right? So self-learning, I think it's even more important than formal education, but I think one leads to the other. At least that's how it worked for me. When I had to code iStock Manager, I had to do it in an obscure new language for me, which is Objective-C, which is a very bad language. I never coded that language before. But with the base I had from ITBA, with knowing C and the promise of this new world of the apps, I managed to taught myself how to do it and create a world-class app, actually, because it was the most used at the time, and it's still being used today by one of the biggest brokers in the world. So I realized at the time how much you can do on your own, right? But also how much I could do if I gather a team and start working all together. Education was obviously helpful for both to find the right people and to learn how to work with them in the best way. Because of all the project we did, I remember not only, I think not only university, school too. I would say one of the most important things I got from education, apart from all of that, is also a scientific way of thinking, right? It seems like, again, something trivial, but it's not. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to rethink the world. You need to be as objective as possible. You need to make decisions based on your data and heuristics. You need to try multiple ways of doing things and failing a lot, and understanding what you're doing right and wrong. And that's basically what a scientist should do in order to push the limits of humankind.
Amazing. I am now a program director at IDWA, and it always amazes me that, you know, creating a career or modifying a career is this sort of alchemy that we build into human brains between what do we teach, who is the one that teaches things, and how do we leave students be in order to incorporate all of that that we don't teach. So thanks for that, Max. We follow with Borja. Borja, you're having great issues with your internet, but well, if the connection drops, we'll follow with the next question. Okay?
Sure. Okay. So biggest challenge. Well, every day is like incredibly challenging. I mean, we've been through so many things at Lemon that it's been like a crazy, incredibly crazy ride. I can definitely tell you that the life of an entrepreneur is not what it's look like. It's not Steve Jobs. It's not that. It's problem solving every day. It's a roller coaster. You will be depressed and you will be like incredibly happy. Maybe like the same day. Maybe also in the same day, your company may look like you will need to close it like the next week, and in the afternoon you manage to save it. Honestly, the biggest challenge is starting the business, getting the people, convince people to follow the journey, the dream, getting investors. I mean, and that's only the beginning. The bigger it gets, the more challenging it gets. So honestly, the biggest challenge I faced is being an entrepreneur. I think that is the biggest challenge. And being an entrepreneur includes needing to fire half of the company because an investor that was going to give you money is finally disappeared, and then you need to lay off half of the company so you don't close like in the next month, and then you need to go replace that investor and then go get it, and that's many things that happen at Lemon. And for example, now that we could announce a 1 million raise, it was like, at least we can live for the next 18 months. So honestly, everything about being an entrepreneur is incredibly challenging. And I think that the university and especially ITBA helped me on those challenges and helps me every day, because what I value the most about ITBA is that it's a university that teaches you how to think. I think that is the most valuable thing about the university, and it gives you, let's say, a reasonable level of decision making, and it gives you that muscle that you need to make good decisions, to take good decisions. And I think that is the most important tool, which is the mindset and how to think issues and challenges and problems. I think that is the most important thing that the university gave me. On top of that, of course, that I use on a daily basis, tons and tons of technical tools and academic tools, or things that I learned in the uni, like, for example, statistics, mathematics. We're a fintech company, so we use a lot of that. Also, information, analytics, data. We use that really on a daily basis. And but I think that those are all technical tools that, although ITBA does a great job at teaching them, I think that the most valuable thing I took from uni is that the ability to understand complex phenomena and issues and challenges and problems, to understand them, to process them, to think them with the to think about them with the right approach, and that is the base to make a good decision, to take a good decision. So for me, the most valuable thing is that, and really the challenge of being an entrepreneur is like, it's not like the movies, man. It's completely insane, but it's amazing.
You remind me a lot of Max. I knew Max several years ago during an event, Reading Nova. It was an event that I believe it's no longer there. And Max was there, and they asked Max, I still remember, they asked Max what it was to start a company. He said, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's a complete nightmare. Why? Because we have to deal with many, and trillions of variables that you're not going to be managing when you have a full-time job, right? So yeah, it's not like you said. It's not the beautiful picture that you see everywhere of the the entrepreneur who is on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, but it's way different than that. And yes, I fully agree. So well, I want to continue there with you, Borja, and then we turn to the other participants. Anything else than that? I mean, how do you see that ITBA help you succeed right now? But let's turn a bit the focus. I mean, what do you say about the environment, the people that you study with, professors, even the whole ITBA community, right? Like a School of Innovation. I mean, everything that is there that is not strictly related to the curricula or the university itself. What would you say?
Yeah, great question. I think that, and I'm surprised that I forgot about that. So great question. Honestly, I think that what you just said is probably the best thing about ITBA. I mean, the community. We have many employees from ITBA, and actually we try to hire as many ITBAs as possible, because we know that if you're from ITBA, either you're a genius or you're an incredibly hardworking person. So and hopefully you're both. You're incredibly hardworking person and you're a genius. So like, we definitely know that when we're working with somebody from ITBA, he's got any of those traits. Besides that, I've accomplished so many things thanks to ITBA community members or people from ITBA. That is especially true. The community of ITBA, ITBA's community actually, and resources that ITBA gives you, such as exposure, such as that quality certificate. I mean, people, when companies and people talk with somebody from ITBA, it's like if you're on a pedestal. It's like, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's like if you're special. And I definitely think that that helps a lot in anybody's career, to me it helped a lot. Also, like it's something it's something like maybe considered trivial or not important, but even when we were doing the fundraise and talking with the Argentine funds, it was not the same to say that many of our members were from ITBA than our universities. Actually, that it looks like not, but it honestly is a leverage. Then again, the ITBA community is great. I've reached so many places and so many contacts and accomplished so many things leveraging myself on the ITBA community that it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's awesome that we can have like those tools and ecosystem. Also, for example, the relationship that you get to have with teachers and people from the university. For instance, Luis, you started as my teacher and now are my friend. And also, Luis helps us a lot with Amazon architecture and so on for Lemon. So it's like it's a big combination of things that 100% it was a quality certificate, and the community and the ecosystem is a great leverage for anybody that wants to boost their career or to reach, let's say, certain contacts or certain places or maybe universities abroad or whatever. Definitely being from ITBA gives you the community, the contacts, and also from the company side, it gives, I mean, if you're from ITBA, it's like a quality control. Rest assured that this person will be amazing.
I always say, thanks, work. I always say to all my students, let me remind you that your email at idba.edu.r is one of your most powerful tools to get an answer from someone. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Who wants? Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that. Who wants to follow? Mati?
Yes. Well, first let me say I love going to university. I'm the kind of guy that really liked university. So, and of all the things that I've done, it's probably the one thing that I recommend to every 17-year-old or 18-year-old kid in Argentina. Go and study software engineering. If it's a good university like it, but better. But also, we created a company around education, actually. We only sell intellectual property. So all of our value is in the people. We create games that encourage education, trivia games, word games, especially its social aspects, which we sadly saw in 2020 how important they are, right? So it's an aspect of education that's technology haven't covered yet that well, right? So we also think of ourselves as a new kind of company, one that prepares itself for a change and embrace it. We want people that work here at our company to have a good education, of course, but also to be able to educate themselves through their lives. Most of what we do right now won't make any sense in 20 years. So think about games. They're just simulations of something you want to optimize, right? In fact, in a way, games are the best way to learn. So education for us is everything. It's what we do, it's how we do it, it's what I want to change, it's how we're going to change it. We don't expect to change everything. We don't expect to change the journey to be easy, but we are prepared for failure, and we turn it into knowledge. And so the world goes on, new challenges became available, and new opportunities come from education that we can do to fix it or to make it. Either it's a way or it's something that you need to make better. You know, so this whole idea that the world can be better. It's something that we take for granted. You say that at start. It not only gets better but also faster. That's education too. It's also an ambition. The world doesn't get any better because just of a natural law. It gets better because people think that it can be better, and we all make small pieces into that. So for us, it's everything, because either we are preparing for what we don't know, and that's education, or we are making tools to make better education, or we are focusing on try to, for example, I'm one of the CEOs, the technology CEOs that are more in the media. I'm just there to tell people, go and study, there's an industry here. Don't think about just being a singer or a football player. Go and study software engineer. There's a place for all of us, you know. And most of them don't do it, and I believe that's like it's something I should do. So if you are already on that path, know that it is the path, and then the world will show you where it could be better.
What you said reminded me of that amazing TED Talk about the Super Mario effect. I mean, you could completely change the way you see education by gamifying. So yeah, absolutely agree with that one. So Carlos, wanna give us the last one?
Well, difficult to say something new. I mean, Maximo and Borja have said everything I think about. I guess the question is how other things than book knowledge help me being here. I also can say that I had a great group, a great community, a great group of friends studying with me, a great group of teachers. I'm from the time, I'm going to say some names that maybe nobody knows. I had Eduardo Starico teaching mathematics and Arguello teaching physics, and you had it also. And Paco Villanueva teaching statistics, and they could stay discussing with you. Starico could stay with you 3 hours, 4 hours discussing mathematics number 5. And that's important because of what Maximo said about learning to learn. Once you understand mathematics number 5, even if you don't remember anything, which is my case, you learn to learn. I mean, you feel you can learn anything. After you understand that, you feel you can understand absolutely anything. And that helped me in my life to work in government, in public, in private sector, in small projects, in big projects, for profit, non-profit, because you feel you can understand anything. Because I understood mathematics number 5. So those kind of teachers and that kind of community really makes an impact on your career.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. It's the same discussion that I have with software engineering students when they tell me that they don't want to learn kernel programming, and I say, go and learn kernel programming. I mean, it's super important. And I know that you won't be programming kernels in your life, maybe not. But if you learn to program kernels, you will know how a computer works, and that's what you need to learn. So we have a few questions before closing up. So first, I have a question for for Max and Borja. How did you manage to balance your study and working time while you were studying? Go ahead.
Let me start. Yep. So you mean when I was in university, right? I don't remember, actually. I just did everything. I spent all of my time either doing one thing or the other one. I used to have an approach to studying which was more like I used to go to the classes, but I didn't study much for the exams and was a little bit messy. So it wasn't that important to me. What was very important to me was to finish the university. Even though I already had a company when I was still studying, because I thought it was just completing something, right? I wanted to have the full experience, so I made the effort at the time. It was a big effort for me, but it was just getting time. I always say to people, they have the time for everything. They just need to see what they are spending it with, right? So maybe it's Netflix, maybe it's whatever, but there's a lot of time there. And what's difficult is to take the decision to use it in a way you don't want to use it. That's the difficult thing.
Borja, I don't know if you're there, but if you are, can you answer the question? Do you have an answer to that one?
Hello?
I don't. Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Can you listen?
Yep.
Awesome. Can you please repeat it?
No, it's how do you manage to work and study? I mean, at the same time. I believe that we lost Borja once again. Okay, in order to comply with the time, I will move forward with the questions. So when Borja comes back again, will be maybe he can answer that question. So sorry, Lucas. So Valentino is asking, what book does Carlos recommend about entrepreneurship and business? And on the other hand, would like to know what kind of thought made them not to drop out of college. Good question, by the way. Carlos?
Sorry, what book do you recommend about?
Yeah, about business and entrepreneurship.
I had a great book about entrepreneurship. I now don't remember the name, but it was a professor I had at Stanford University. His name is Irving Grousbeck, Grousbeck. He was the best entrepreneurship professor probably in many universities in the world. And he wrote a book, but I don't remember the name of the book. New Enterprises. I don't remember the name of the book. He's Irving Grousbeck. That was a great book for entrepreneurship. What was the other question?
I mean, basically, what idea you have? I mean, basically, why didn't you drop out? I mean, why didn't you drop out the university? Maybe it's a question to all of you. I mean, why didn't you drop out the university and go full throttle with your companies?
I got the open mic. I answer shortly. I just never thought about dropping out. As Maximo says, I thought it was really important to finish the career. I never thought about dropping out. Simply.
Yeah, me either. To me was regarding the book. I don't read a lot of books, but one of the guys that works with me made a very good one, and I have it here. About it talks a lot about how companies are managed. It's hacia el alto desempeño. It's called. It's more about how new companies are being managed right now, which is, I think, it's a very good insight that you don't have in the university, right? And regarding dropping out, I think if you're an entrepreneur, you try to manage risks, right? So if you're about to be 6 months, like in my case, or a year from a career, having that, it's something you may think you don't need it right now. You may think it's not important, but then you have to live all your life. You're not going to go back and finish your career. So for me, it wasn't a decision of doing one thing or the other. I knew that there was a decision of doing both things. It was just working harder. It was just leaving things apart, So I think that was the thought I had at the time. I'm not going to do something right now that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life.
Thanks. Borja, if you're there, wanna go with that one? Otherwise, we'll continue with the next one and we'll close.
Yes, book and dropout.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some books that we like to read at Lemon. Actually, in Lemon, everybody needs to read one book per quarter and propose implementations for their areas. One of the favorite books is From Zero to One from Peter Thiel. I think he tells a great story, and it's super useful for starting entrepreneurs and ongoing entrepreneurs because it helps a lot how to build culture, how to build a company, how to approach issues. Honestly, I think that entrepreneurs should be reading every day. It's super important and useful, so you never stop learning, other than the experience that you get startup. And dropout, that's super hard. So right now I'm gonna do one subject per course per quarter or per semester, because I honestly don't have time. Lemon is already a 25 people per company. We're growing to probably by the end of the year to 50. We're doing another fundraising round. So it's super hard to catch up. But at the same time, the career is so amazing, and I definitely agree with everybody here that it's super important to have a degree. I think that university is amazing. You meet great people, great teachers, and the degree is something that once you get, nobody can take it from you. It's something that you yourself earned for yourself. So that's something super important for me. And I think that if your company scales way too much, then it doesn't matter if it takes longer. Now I know that I'm going to be like, I was missing 2 years to finish. I'm going to be maybe like 6 years or 8 years to finish, like doing project at a time. But it doesn't matter. It's all about doing what makes you happy. And if you really like the career like I do and the university, then it doesn't matter if it takes shorter or longer. It just matters. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So as long as you can finish it in the marathon, I think that I can be happy, especially knowing that I'm also doing what I love, which is being an entrepreneur.
Thank you very much, Borja, for that one. So we run out of time, and sorry, Ignacio, for telling you this about your question. So if you or anyone, I mean Ignacio, or anyone who wants to leave their emails or wants to ask something, feel free. Thank you, Ignacio. Feel free to leave your emails there, and we'll answer completely offline. So I want to thank all of our speakers and ITBA again for organizing this wonderful event.